All right, let's get into it. We hear all the time about the climate race, right? Who's leading, who's falling behind. But what if that whole idea is just wrong? Today, we're going to tear down the typical sustainability league table and build a new one.
So let's just ask the question straight up. Who's actually winning this thing? Which country is taking home the gold medal for climate action?
Well, the honest answer, if you look at the hard data, is nobody. Seriously. In the big global climate change performance index, the first, second, and third place spots are left empty. Why? Because not a single country is doing enough.
The reality is, there isn't a single major economy on the planet that's on track to keep global warming below those critical limits we always talk about. So this isn't about pointing fingers or creating a list of heroes and villains. It's about something way more useful: momentum. Who's actually moving forward, and maybe more importantly, where are they getting stuck?
To figure that out, we need a better way to measure things. So let's use what we'll call a 5-lens scorecard. First, emissions weight. Just how big is a country's carbon footprint? Second, direction of travel. Simple enough. Are their emissions going up or down? Third, energy transition. How quickly are they ditching dirty fuels for renewables? Fourth, industrial strategy. Are they cleaning up their heavy industries? And finally, number 5, policy credibility. Do their actions actually line up with their promises?
All right, so let's take this scorecard and apply it to some of the world's biggest players. This is going to give us a real-time snapshot of who's got momentum and who doesn't.
First up, Germany. You know, Germany is often held up as this great climate leader, and they've got some of the most ambitious goals on paper. But, as we all know, ambition and reality can be two very different things. So here's Germany's big problem, their main bottleneck. They're building renewables like crazy, but their electric grid can't keep up. And even worse, they're planning new natural gas plants that could lock them into fossil fuels for decades. On the flip side, the opportunities are huge and clear. Cut the electricity tax to make clean energy the cheapest option, and pour money into upgrading their railways and EV charging stations.
Okay, now let's shift our focus. Let's look at the rising powers. These are the economies that are really going to define the rest of this century. So their climate momentum is absolutely critical for all of us.
Let's talk about India. They just hit an absolutely massive milestone. They now get 50% of their installed power from non-fossil fuel sources. And get this, they did it years ahead of their 2030 target. That is a huge signal to the rest of the world.
But, and it's a big but, India has some major industrial hurdles. Its steel industry, for instance, pumps out about 25% more emissions than the global average. A big reason is they just don't have enough scrap steel to recycle. So the opportunity here is a game changer. Take the money they're spending on fossil fuel subsidies and pour it into renewables, while at the same time building a circular economy that turns waste from a problem into a huge asset.
Next up, Brazil. It's already a renewable electricity giant, mostly thanks to all its hydropower. But Brazil is also a land of, well, deep contradictions when it comes to climate.
And here's the biggest one, the main bottleneck. Even while the country's making progress on slowing deforestation in the Amazon, there's a political push to open up a whole new oil frontier right at the mouth of the Amazon River. It's a huge conflict. But with the big COP30 climate summit coming to Brazil, they have this incredible opportunity to step up, resolve that contradiction, and really become a true climate leader on the world stage.
Okay, time for a different kind of story. Let's talk about the developed nations that have been high emitters for a long time, but are now finally trying to pivot. Their momentum, or lack of it, is so important. Australia is a really interesting case study. For a long time, it's been ranked as a very low performer on climate. But now, it's set this wildly ambitious goal to get 82% of its electricity from renewables by 2030. Talk about a country trying to make a sharp U-turn.
So what's holding Australia back? It really comes down to its economy being so tangled up with fossil fuel exports. They're just so slow to phase out coal and gas, and the subsidies keep flowing. The opportunity, though, is crystal clear. Go all in on building the energy storage and transmission lines they desperately need to make a grid run by the sun and wind a reality.
So we've looked at these unique bottlenecks in different countries, but if you kind of zoom out and look at the bigger picture, a pattern starts to emerge. What if we stop seeing these as just national problems and start seeing them as massive global investment opportunities? This is where the money needs to flow to get things moving everywhere.
Globally, 6 sectors just jump off the page. These are the areas where we can turn these huge challenges into incredible economic wins.
We're talking about cleaning up heavy industry, creating circular supply chains for EVs, modernizing our power grids, transforming farming, turning our trash into treasure, and literally redesigning our cities from the inside out.
Let's make this real. Remember India's steel industry? Super emissions heavy. But check out the flip side. Building a system to collect and recycle scrap steel could slash the energy needed by almost 20%. That's not just a win for the climate, it's a huge win for the economy. It's just more efficient.
Or think about electric vehicles. The insane demand for minerals like lithium and cobalt creates massive risks in the supply chain. The circular solution? Build a really robust system for recycling old batteries and giving them a second life in other uses. You localize the supply chain and become less dependent on imports. It's a no-brainer.
Okay, I want you to focus on just one number for a second. 20%.
That is the share of global methane emissions that comes from our waste, and methane is an incredibly powerful greenhouse gas. But here's the amazing part. We have technology, like biomethanation, that can take organic waste and turn it into clean energy. It's the perfect example of turning a massive climate problem into a profitable, clean asset. So where is all of this heading? When you look at all this data, it really points to three very different futures. And the thing is, the path we end up on isn't pre-written. It's a choice we are making, right now, every day.
Path number one is the orderly transition. This is where we all get our act together and global cooperation leads to a smooth shift. Path two is the patchwork present, which honestly is kind of where we are now. Progress is super uneven, creating this messy world of some leaders and a lot of laggards. And then there's path three, the disorderly scramble. This is where instability and short-term thinking just derail everything, and we get hit with severe, chaotic climate shocks.
The key takeaway here is that the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we are actively building with every policy, every investment, and every action. So the real question isn't about who's winning some imaginary race today. The real question is, what kind of future are we choosing to build tomorrow?